Alright guys, so this video is on a personal favourite of mine, the squat. The squat is the king of lower body exercises. It translates into athletic performance like sprinting and jumping. It builds tremendous amount of strength for the lower body, also builds power and conditioning depending on how you use it. However, if your squat looks like this, or even this, then you're not going to get the most out of the exercise. You're going to leave kilograms on the table, you're going to lose strength gains and potentially increase risk of injury. So in this video, we'll go over squats from A to Z, how to build your way up to a barbell back squat. The first thing you want is to be able to perform a bodyweight squat to good depth with three main components. 1, your chest is open, your shoulder blades are back. 2, your knees are out. And 3, your feet are flat. So these squats now, you can see the technique is not up to par. Knees are coming in, coming up onto the toes, hips are shooting back. If your squat looks like this, then try elevating your heels. So chuck a plate or lifting shoes under your heels. If it makes a significant difference for you, then run with it. That shows you that your ankle range of motion, specifically dorsiflexion, is lacking a little bit. On all of these squat variations going forward, you can use an elevated heel, so lifting shoes or plates, but work on your ankle range of motion and we're trying to get to flat feet eventually. So first exercise that we're starting with is kettlebell goblet squat to a ball. So the reason that we start with the kettlebell goblet squat first is that it's front loaded, which makes it easier to stay upright and get down to a nice low depth whilst keeping those three components. So before you start loading a barbell on your back, it's much easier to start with a kettlebell on the front of your chest. So start as high as you need to, fulfilling those three components: knees out, feet flat, chest open. Think about you sitting on eggshells, so come down, pause, keep the weight in your legs. Make sure that you can do it with good technique and then work your way lower. So if you can get down to the ball, but you can only do it with technique like this, so compromised technique, hips back, knees caving in, you're losing the open chest, maybe coming onto your toes. If your squats are looking like this, you need to start a little bit higher and maybe decrease the weight. So make sure you can perform it with technique like this until you can get down to a depth about parallel. So your thighs parallel to the floor, your hip crease below the knees. When you can go down to a good depth, nice and low, then try it without the ball. So when you do it without the ball, imagine that the ball is still there. So pause to start with, dead stop, build that positional strength for the bottom position, and then you can start going down and straight up. So this utilizes the stretch shortening cycle, basically just the stretch reflex. It'll translate a bit better over to athletic performance. Make sure you have the pause mastered first before you move on to this variation though. It's all just about the stability in the bottom position. So after the kettlebell, we start to introduce a bit more weight and a bit more complexity. We move into the front squat. Again, this is front loaded. The weight is out in front of you. It provides a counterbalance just like the kettlebell. It makes it easier to stay upright. How you rack the bar can be a little bit complicated, but we'll go into that later. For now, you just want to think about high elbows, pushing your elbows up the whole time. And then it's the same as the kettlebell squat with the ball. Coming down, pause, keep the weight in your legs, start high and start light. Make sure you can perform it with that good technique, the elbows up, the chest open, the knees out, the feet flat. The emphasis is just really on control at this stage. It's not about the weight as yet, it's building that strength, that stability, and also that mobility. So when you're feeling good, when you're feeling comfortable, try working your way a little bit lower. Again, dead stop at the bottom, sitting on eggshells, keep the weight in the legs, and keep driving the elbows up. So you'll see now a couple where the elbows drop, and look what happens to the upper back as I stand up. You'll see that I like to call it turtling. Your upper back rounds, your hips are probably going to shoot back as well. Not only are you leaking power here, so you're leaving strength on the table, you're also shifting it away from the muscles you want to work. If your hips are shooting back like that, you're not working the quads, the legs as hard, you're shifting it into the hips. And long term, it's just going to be inefficient and it's going to limit how much strength you can gain from this exercise. So lesson is elbows up, nice and solid. With the barbell, with this extra bit of weight, you want to think about bracing a little bit more as well. So top of each rep, big breath into the belly, flex the abs like you're going to get punched in the guts. And then again, when you feel comfortable at a low depth with the ball, take the ball away Imagine that it's there to start with, so dead stop, pause, and then you can start working on that speed out the bottom. Down, bang, straight up, using the stretch shortening cycle and catching the bounce. So how do you actually hold onto the bar when you front squat? How do you rack it? To illustrate the point, the bar should sit on your shoulders without your hands. So the weight shouldn't be in your hands and in your wrists. It should sit on your shoulders, elbows up high, and it should sit there nice and comfortably close to your neck. First grip is clean grip. This is ideal. Not everyone can do it. You need to get the elbows up high if you do this grip. So don't let them drop down. It's going to put the weight into your wrists. Keep them up high, high, high. If you're looking to learn cleans, then you need to start off with this grip. You can go full hand or you can even just go fingertips, but the elbows need to be high. Next option, get it set and then just tuck the thumbs. So this is easier because it requires less external rotation from the shoulders. It helps you keep the elbows up higher without putting weight into your hands. So again, you're not actually holding onto it, you're just tucking the thumbs. Last grip is just cross arm grip. This is a pretty classic one. A lot of people will do this. So sit it on your shoulders, get centered, get the elbows high, and then you just fold the hands over. Again, not elbows low, elbows high, and it'll be happy days. Bar will sit where it needs to. Nice and solid on the shoulders. All right, so with the front squat mastered, it's time to move on to the back squat. The additional challenge with the back squat is now the weight is behind you. So you create artificial stability when you load a squat front ways, when you do the goblet squat or when you do a front squat. Now with the back squat, you really want to make sure that you have that positional strength so that you don't end up folding forward and compromising your form. So it's better to start off fairly high and work your way down. Again, a height that lets you complete with good technique. So feet flat, knees out, chest open. These are the three main components. Pause at the bottom, keep the weight in your legs. When you can do that, then you're ready to move down a little bit lower. And again, you don't want to go too low where you compromise form. So down a little bit on this one, same things. And again, we're starting light. It's very similar to the front squat stage. If you have to start a little bit higher, that's all right. Just trust that the depth will get lower and lower over time as your strength and as your mobility builds. So pausing at the bottom. If you've taken your time with the front squats, you should be able to stay quite upright. It's how upright exactly depends on your body proportions. It won't be perfect. Your chest will never stay straight up. You do want to avoid this though. So hips shooting right back. This is a good sign that A, the box is a little bit low, and B, your legs are just not quite strong enough. If your hips are shooting back like that, that's the hips wanting to take over and take the weight away from the legs. So to reiterate, focusing on that depth, chest nice and upright, knees out, feet flat, hitting the legs nice and hard, loading the quads. When you feel comfortable with this, again, when you've gotten down to a nice low depth, what depth exactly will be different for everyone, but ideally parallel or below. Once you've got that nailed, then we move on to the last stage, which is barbell back squat. Starting with a pause and then getting rid of the pause. So to start off with, same three components, chest open, knees out, feet flat, coming down, imagining that the ball is there, pause at the bottom, and then drive up. So big breath at the top, brace the abs. This is a very important step with the back squat, especially as you start adding weight. So once you've got the pause down, then we can start just catching the bounce out of the bottom using the stretch reflex. So down, bang, straight up, building a bit more explosiveness, a bit more power. So rather than like slow and grinding, this should translate a bit better to athlete performance. One other little thing you might have just seen me do then as well is the elbows. So ideally you don't want them back behind the bar, you want to pull them in under the bar and then squeeze in towards your ribs to get the lats tight. This is what you want to avoid again, hips shooting back. This is more of a good morning. If no matter how hard you try, you can only do them like that or like this, it's a good sign that you need to work a bit more on one of the previous stages. It's a combination of flexibility, but I would say more so strength and stability. If your squats are looking a bit ugly, you don't quite have the positional strength yet and you need to work on the basics a bit more. All right, hope you enjoyed the video, guys.